Saint Veronica was a pious woman of Jerusalem in the 1st century AD, according to Christian tradition. A celebrated saint in many pious Christian countries, the Acta Sanctorum published by the Bollandists gave her feast, but the Jesuit scholar Joseph Braun cited her commemoration in Festi Marianni on January 13. According to church tradition, Veronica was moved with pity when she saw Jesus carrying his cross to Golgotha and gave him her veil that he might wipe his forehead. Jesus accepted the offering, held it to his face, and then handed it back to her. The image of his face miraculously impressed upon it. This piece of cloth became known as the Veil of Veronica. The name Veronica itself is a Latinization of Berenice, a Macedonian name, meaning bearer of victory. The woman who offered her veil to Jesus was known by this name in the Byzantine East, but in the Latin West the name took a life of its own. As proven by a medieval text, Veronica was used by the 13th century as a designation for a relic venerated in Rome as the true image of Jesus. Since the Latin word for true, or authentic happens to be vera, the theory emerged that the name itself is derived from the Latin phrase true image, vera icon. In the 13th century text and also in some later sources the term Veronica was used for the veil, not the person, but for centuries it has been better known as the name of the woman. The claim that the name Veronica is derived from vera icon proved to be very persistent and we encounter it until today. The Encyclopaedia Britannica says this about the legend. Eusebius in his Historia Ecclesiastica tells how at Caesarea Philippi lived the woman whom Christ healed of an issue of blood. Legend was not long in providing the woman of the Gospel with a name. In the West she was identified with Martha of Bethany. In the East she was called Bernice, or Berenice, the name appearing in as earlier work as the Acta Pilati, the most ancient form of which goes back to the 4th century. The fanciful derivation of the name Veronica from the words vera icon true image dates back to the Otia Imperialia of Gervase of Tilbury, who says, Ist ergo Veronica pictura domini vera. The Catholic Encyclopedia of 1913 had this to say about the growth of the legend. The belief in the existence of authentic images of Christ is connected with the old legend of King Abgar of Edessa and the apocryphal writing known as the Mors Pilati. To distinguish at Rome the oldest and best known of these images it was called the Vera icon, which in the common tongue soon became Veronica. It is thus designated in several medieval texts mentioned by the Bollandists, and Matthew of Westminster speaks of the imprint of the image of the Saviour which is called Veronica, effigies Dominici vultus curi Veronica nunc pater effigy of the face of the Lord which is called a Veronica. By degrees, popular imagination mistook this word for the name of a person and attached thereto several legends which vary according to the country. The reference to Abgar is related to a similar legend in the Eastern Church, the image of Edessa or Mandalion. Veronica legends. There is no reference to the story of Saint Veronica and her veil in the canonical Gospels. She is known as the woman who wiped Jesus' face with her veil. Then the image of Jesus' face appeared on it. The closest is the miracle of the woman who was healed by touching the hem of Jesus' unregistered trademark garment. Her name is later identified as Veronica by the apocryphal Acts of Pilate. The story was later elaborated in the 11th century by adding that Christ gave her a portrait of himself on a cloth, with which she later cured the Emperor Tiberius. The linking of this with the bearing of the cross in the Passion, and the miraculous appearance of the image only occurs around 1380, in the internationally popular book Meditations on the Life of Christ. The story of Veronica is celebrated in the 6th Station of the Cross in many Anglican, Catholic, Lutheran, Methodist and Western Orthodox churches. According to the Catholic Encyclopedia, the name Veronica comes from the Latin vera, meaning true, or truthful, and the Greek leikon, meaning image. The Veil of Veronica was therefore largely regarded in medieval times as the true image, the truthful representation of Jesus, preceding the Shroud of Turin. Saint Veronica was mentioned in the reported visions of Jesus by Sister Marie of St. Peter, a Carmelite nun who lived in Tours, France, and started the devotion to the Holy Face of Jesus. In 1844, Sister Marie reported that in a vision, she saw Saint Veronica wiping away the spit and mud from the face of Jesus with her veil on the way to Calvary. She said that sacrilegious and blasphemous acts today are adding to the spit and mud that Saint Veronica wiped away that day. According to Senior Marie of St. Peter, in her visions Jesus told her that he desired devotion to his holy face in reparation for sacrilege and blasphemy. Acts of reparation to Jesus Christ are thus compared to Saint Veronica wiping the face of Jesus. The devotion to the holy face of Jesus was eventually approved by Pope Leo XIII in 1885. Saint Veronica is commemorated on July 12. Veronica in popular culture. Mel Gibson's film The Passion of the Christ included an episode of Veronica wiping Jesus' face, although she is not referred to by name in the film. Blessed Anne Catherine Emmerich, one of the inspirational sources to the cited movie, depicts a long and touching description of the Saint Veronica episode, and she identifies the true name of Saint Veronica also as Seraphia. The most common pass with the cape in bullfighting is called a veracubnica, as the torero holds the cape in the same way as Saint Veronica is usually depicted holding the cloth. See also, Veronica's veil, holy face scapula, relics attributed to Jesus, list of names for the biblical nameless, Matthew 9, Mark 5. References. Churches and parishes named in her honor: St. Veronica Parish, Cincinnati, Ohio; St. Veronica Catholic Church, Chantilly, Virginia; St. Veronica Congregation, Milwaukee, Wisconsin; St. Veronica Catholic Church, East Point, Michigan. External links: Catholic Online, Saints and Angels, St. Veronica.